In the sweltering heat of August 1619, a ship arrived in the fledgling colony of Virginia, a place still finding its footing in the New World. This ship carried a cargo that would forever alter the course of American history. 20 Africans forcibly taken from their homes and families were traded as slaves upon their arrival. This event marked the beginning of a dark and painful chapter in American history. These first Africans were not immediately enslaved in the same way as later generations would be. They faced grueling conditions, but some managed to gain their freedom after a number of years of hard labor. However, their arrival marked a significant turning point in the colonies. It planted the seeds for a system of slavery that would grow and become deeply entrenched in the colonies. The arrival of these Africans coincided with a growing demand for labor in the colonies. Tobacco, a highly lucrative crop, required intensive and backbreaking work to cultivate and harvest. Initially, indentured servants from Europe were brought in to meet this labor need. However, their numbers proved insufficient and their terms of service were limited, often lasting only a few years. Colonial landowners saw an opportunity in the transatlantic slave trade, a cruel and inhumane solution to their labor shortage, leading to the establishment of a brutal system of slavery that would last for centuries. The transatlantic slave trade, a horrific enterprise that saw millions of Africans shipped across the Atlantic, became a cornerstone of colonial economies. This brutal system was not just a trade of goods, but a trade of human lives, forever altering the course of history for countless individuals and their descendants. It was a triangular trade route. Ships from Europe sailed to Africa, trading goods such as guns, cloth, and alcohol for enslaved Africans. This exchange was the first leg of the journey, setting the stage for the inhumane conditions that would follow. These ships then endured the brutal Middle Passage, a harrowing and deadly voyage across the Atlantic, bringing their human cargo to the Americas. The conditions on these ships were appalling, with enslaved Africans packed tightly, suffering from disease, malnutrition, and abuse. Finally, the ships returned to Europe laden with colonial goods, including tobacco, sugar, and cotton, all produced by enslaved labor. These goods fueled the European economy, creating wealth for merchants and investors at the expense of human suffering. The Royal African Company, chartered in England in 1660, played a significant role in expanding the slave trade. This company was instrumental in organizing and financing the transport of enslaved Africans, making the trade more systematic and profitable. This company gained a monopoly over the trade of enslaved Africans to British colonies, including those in North America. Its influence extended far and wide, shaping the economic and social landscapes of the colonies. The Royal African Company's ships, specifically designed for transporting large numbers of people under horrific conditions, became a common sight in colonial ports. These ships were a grim reminder of the human cost of economic prosperity. The company's activities dramatically increased the number of enslaved Africans brought to the colonies, entrenching the institution of slavery. This legacy of exploitation and dehumanization left an indelible mark on history, the effects of which are still felt today. As the colonies grew, so did the demand for enslaved labor. This demand was most acute in the Southern Colonies, where vast plantations dedicated to cash crops like tobacco, rice, and cotton dominated the landscape. These large-scale agricultural operations required a large and readily available workforce, a need that enslaved Africans tragically fulfilled. The Southern economy became deeply reliant on slave labor. Enslaved people were forced to work from sunrise to sunset, enduring brutal conditions and harsh punishments. Their labor generated immense wealth for plantation owners, but they received no compensation for their toil. The Southern Colonies, built on the backs of enslaved Africans, flourished economically while perpetuating a system of unimaginable cruelty. Section 4. Enslaved but not broken. Resistance, culture, and the fight for freedom. Despite the unimaginable horrors they faced daily, enslaved Africans never surrendered to the dehumanizing system forced upon them. Their spirit remained unbroken, and their will to resist was unwavering. They resisted their enslavement in both overt and subtle ways. From work slowdowns and sabotage to secret gatherings where they could share their hopes and dreams, resistance took many forms. Running away, though fraught with danger and uncertainty, offered a glimmer of hope for freedom. The journey was perilous, but the promise of liberation was worth the risk. Some enslaved people managed to escape to the north, aided by the Underground Railroad, a clandestine network of safe houses and sympathetic individuals. These brave souls risked their own lives to help others find freedom, creating a lifeline for those desperate to break free from the chains of slavery. Even under the oppressive yoke of slavery, enslaved Africans found ways to maintain their cultural practices and traditions. These cultural expressions were acts of defiance and a means of preserving their identity. Music, dance, and storytelling passed down through generations became powerful expressions of their heritage and resilience. These traditions were not just cultural practices but lifelines to their past and beacons of hope for the future. These traditions, kept alive in secret gatherings and under the cover of night, served as a source of strength and solace. They provided a sense of community and continuity in a world designed to strip them of their humanity. They were a testament to the enduring human spirit, a spirit that refused to be extinguished despite the relentless efforts to break it. Their resilience and determination continue to inspire us today. Section 5. Laws and Lies. Legal frameworks and societal attitudes upholding slavery. Over time, a web of laws and societal attitudes developed that aimed to legitimize and perpetuate slavery. Colonial legislatures enacted laws that defined enslaved Africans as property, stripping them of their basic human rights. These laws made it legal to buy, sell, and inherit human beings, treating them as mere commodities. Fear played a powerful role in maintaining the system of slavery. Slaveholders, outnumbered by those they enslaved, lived in constant fear of rebellion. This fear fueled the creation of brutal slave codes, designed to control every aspect of enslaved people's lives and suppress any form of resistance. The fear of economic ruin if slavery were abolished also gripped many white colonists, further entrenching the institution. Section 6. Scars of the Past. The enduring legacy of slavery in America. The institution of slavery cast a long shadow over American history, its legacy enduring long after its abolition. The Civil War, fought between the Union and the Confederacy from 1861 to 1865, ultimately led to the end of slavery in the United States. However, the fight for equality and justice for African Americans continued long after the smoke of battle cleared. The economic, social, and political disparities that exist between black and white Americans today are a direct result of the legacy of slavery and the systemic racism that followed. The fight for racial justice continues, a reminder of the unfinished work of achieving true equality for all Americans. Only by confronting the painful truths of our past can we hope to build a more just and equitable future.